So the veins draining the upper limb are grouped in these two groups, superficial veins and the deep veins. Superficial veins, you can see they are placed subcutaneously. Okay, these are located in the superficial fossa and they include the dorsal venous arch. Dorsal venous arch is lying here. Okay, so this located in the superficial fossa include the dorsal venous arch, cephalic vein, basilic vein and median cubital vein. This is anterior view of the upper limb. So see here dorsal venous arch will lie dorsally or the two ends of the dorsal venous arch continues as two veins, laterally cephalic vein and medially basilic veins. Okay, the marking, these lines are wrong. You see from the picture, this is cephalic vein and this is basilic vein. Basilic vein is going medially, cephalic vein is going laterally. And it comes in front of the elbow joint and these two veins are connected near the elbow. This part is known as cubital fossa. Okay, so in this region this cephalic vein and basilic veins are connected with each other with this oblique vein. This oblique vein is median cubital vein. Okay, and here blood is drawn from this vein, median cubital vein. Okay, and this is also connected with the deep veins via the perforating veins. And see here the cephalic vein is lying on the lateral side, then it passes through the deltopectoral group. Here is the deltoid muscle, here is pectoral muscle. So in between the deltoid and pectoralis major lies the deltopectoral groove. After passing through this groove, it will pierce the clavipectoral fossa and drain into the axillary vein. Okay, so these are the superficial veins, dorsal venous arch, cephalic vein, basilic vein and median cubital veins. Next are the deep veins. Deep veins are located deep to the deep fossa and they include the veni comitatus that accompany the large arteries such as radial artery, ulnar artery and the brachial artery. Okay, brachial artery is lying in the arm, radial and ulnar artery in the forearm. All these arteries are on the two sides of the arteries there are veins and these are known as veni comitatus and arterial pulsation here helps in the venous return of the blood. Okay, that's why the location of veins are like this, lying on the two sides of the artery. Next, another is axillary vein. Axillary vein is lying in the infraclavicular region. Next, so see here, this is cephalic vein, basilic vein connected via this median cubital vein. Another vein in the front of the forearm is the median antebrachial vein. Venipuncture is done in all these superficial veins. Okay. So general features of superficial vein location. Superficial veins lie in the superficial fossa. What are the cores? Superficial veins run away from the pressure points and the pressure points include the palm, ulnar border of the forearm, back of the elbow, back of the trunk. And embryologically, there are two major superficial veins, preaxial and postaxial. Preaxial vein is cephalic vein and it runs along the preaxial or lateral border of the upper limb. Okay, preaxial term is related to embryology. Okay, so that's why you have to remember. And postaxial vein is the basilic vein and it runs along the postaxial or medial border of the upper limb. And length, preaxial or cephalic vein is longer than the postaxial or basilic vein. And communicating channels are these two. Median cubital vein, it transmits most of the blood from cephalic vein to the basilic vein. And there are also perforating veins. They transfer the blood from the superficial vein to the deep veins. Deep veins are those veni comitatus of different arteries. And perforators have valves. These perforator veins which are connecting the superficial with the deep vein, they have valves. Valve means there will be only one way flow of blood from superficial to deep. From deep to superficial there will be no flow of blood, okay? Otherwise there will be accumulation of blood in the superficial veins. When these valves become incompetent in the lower limbs, then there will be varicose veins in the lower limb. So perforating veins, they transfer the blood from superficial veins to the deep veins, and the perforators have valves that allows the unidirectional transmission. Okay, next. Okay, next we are going to dorsal venous arch. See, this is view from posterior view of the palm. Okay, dorsal, here you can see the dorsal venous arch. This is dorsal venous arch, and you can see the dorsal venous arch is continuing laterally as the cephalic vein, and its medial end is continuing upward as the basilic vein. This you must remember. Okay, if you place it like this lateral side, thumb side is directed towards the head end. Head means cephalic. Okay, so that's why the name is given. Lateral side, cephalic vein, medial side, basilic vein. Okay, so dorsal venous arch is a network of superficial veins that lies on the dorsum of the hand. And tributaries of dorsal venous arch are these three dorsal metacarpal veins. See, these are the three dorsal metacarpal veins and dorsal digital veins. These are the dorsal digital veins. One from the medial side of little finger here, one from the medial side of little finger, one from the lateral side of index finger here, and two from the medial and lateral side of the thumb. These are the dorsal digital vein. Dorsal digital vein means it is supplying only one side of the fingers, okay? And this dorsal metacarpal veins, they are again dividing into two veins and supplying the adjacent sides of the neighboring fingers, okay? And the veins of the palm that crosses the margins of the hand, perforating veins that passes through the interosseous spaces. Okay, so these are the tributaries of the dorsal venous arch. So dorsal venous arch can come in your short note. And next जाओ, आरेकटा next, बस previous. Okay, next is the continuation of the dorsal venous arch. Medial end continues upward as the basilic vein, lateral end continues upward as the cephalic vein. Okay, you have discussed. Next, Robinas. Endless view of the picture. Three dorsal metacarpal veins, dorsal digital veins draining medial side of little finger, two sides of the thumb, and lateral side of the index finger draining into the dorsal venous arch. All these are tributary of the dorsal venous arch. Next. Next we are going to discuss cephalic vein. Okay. This can come individual short note. Cephalic vein. Cephalic vein is one of the important superficial vein of the forearm, and it represents the preaxial vein of the forearm. Okay, this is very commonly given OSPI question also. You will have to identify the structure in the cadaver, and the related questions, 2 to 3 marks questions will be asked. Where is the origin, where is the termination, what are the tributaries, like questions will be asked in your OSPI. So important for your practical also. Okay. So what is the beginning? It begins as a continuation of lateral end of dorsal venous arch. And what is the course? It runs in the roof of anatomical snub box, and it turns anteriorly along the lateral border of the forearm, runs upward in the roof of the cubital fossa, runs upward in the arm, and pierces the deep fossa at the lower border of the pectoralis major muscle, and then follows the course of deltopectoral groove, and in the infraclavicular fossa it pierces the clavipectoral fossa, joins the axillary vein. We have seen previously the course. Next, termination, cephalic vein opens into the axillary vein. Beginning and termination is very, very important, and the tributaries. Okay. Next, so median cubital vein diverts the majority of blood from cephalic vein to the basilic vein. And cephalic vein is the preaxial vein of forearm, and it corresponds with the great saphenous vein of the lower limb. Great saphenous vein lies along the medial border of the lower limb. Okay. You can see the thumb is located laterally in case of upper limb, and the great toe is located medially for the lower limb because of rotation, different rotation of the limbs during development. So for upper limb, preaxial border is the lateral side, and for lower limb, preaxial border will be medial side. Okay. That's why they corresponds to each other. Cephalic vein corresponds to great saphenous vein of the lower limb. And there is accessory cephalic vein. It is occasionally present, passes along the lateral border of the forearm, joins the cephalic vein near the elbow. And cephalic vein is accompanied by lateral cutaneous nerve of the forearm. Okay. Next. Next, we are going to basilic vein. This is also a short note, basilic vein. So, basilic vein is a superficial vein that lies on the medial side of the forearm. Basilic vein, and this is also a OSPI question. Okay, you have to identify the structure in the cadaver. Basilic vein. So, for it also, beginning, termination, tributaries are important. Okay. So, basilic vein is a superficial vein that lies on the medial side of the forearm. It represents the post-axial vein of the forearm. It begins as the continuation of the medial end of dorsal venous arch. What is the course? Basilic vein runs upward along the medial border of forearm to reach the anterior to the cubital fossa. Here is the basilic vein. It runs in the roof of the cubital fossa and then in front of the forearm. And basilic vein is a superficial vein that lies on the medial side of the forearm, and it represents the post-axial vein of the forearm. Okay. What is the beginning? It begins as continuation of medial end of the dorsal venous arch. Here you can see the beginning only. Next is the course. Basilic vein runs upward along the medial border of the forearm to reach the, we have discussed it, and runs in the roof of cubital fossa. Next. Okay, see here, this is cephalic vein, this is basilic vein, and this median cubital vein, it is, this part here lies the bend of the elbow, this bend of the elbow. So this median cubital vein starts 2.5 centimeter below the bend of the elbow from the cephalic vein, and it ends at the basilic vein, 2.5 centimeter above the bend of the elbow, and it is placed obliquely, and it drains the blood from cephalic vein to the basilic vein. Okay, understood? Okay, and okay, so basilic vein is superficial vein that lies on the medial side of forearm. Here it is lying on the medial side of forearm, represents the post-axial vein of forearm. It begins as continuation of medial end of dorsal venous arch, and it runs upward along the medial border of forearm to reach the anterior to the cubital fossa, runs in the roof of the cubital fossa, and then in front of the forearm. Next. Next, we are going to median cubital vein. Okay, this its clinical aspect is very, very important. Median cubital vein. Median cubital vein This also important for your OSPE. You have to identify the vein and related questions will be asked. So median cubital vein is a small communicating channel between the cephalic and basilic vein. So this is median cubital vein and it crosses obliquely in front of the elbow and lies in the roof of the cubital fossa. It begins from the cephalic vein here, 2.5 centimeter below the bend of the elbow and course it passes upward and medially in the roof of the cubital fossa. Termination, it opens in the basilic vein 2.5 centimeter above the bend of the elbow. What is the communication? Median cubital vein communicates with the deep veins through a perforator vein. We'll see picture. And this perforator vein pierces the bicipital aponeurosis and thus fixes the median cubital vein. See here, this is biceps tendon here, this brown colored one. And from here, one fascial extension extends medially to be attached to the ulna. This fascial extension is the bicipital aponeurosis and through this biceps tendon is inserted over the radial tuberosity and bicipital aponeurosis is attached to the ulna. Okay, so that's how biceps muscle is connected to both of the bones of the forearm. So and this perforator vein connecting this median cubital vein with the deep vein, they are passing through this bicipital aponeurosis. That's how this median cubital vein is a fixed vein. It cannot be movable. Okay. So this perforator vein pierces the bicipital aponeurosis and thus fixes the median cubital vein. And it has valve that allows flow of blood from median cubital vein to the deep vein. Okay. Median cubital vein is a superficial vein and blood goes from superficial to deep vein. Next. Okay, see here, this is median cubital vein and connecting the cephalic with the basilic and oblique course you remember. Okay, next. Next is median vein of the forearm. You have seen in the first picture median vein lying in the anterior aspect of the forearm. Okay, so median vein of forearm is present in some individuals and they are also called median antebrachial vein. Forearm means antebrachial and location lies on the front of forearm. Beginning arises from the palmar venous plexus. What is the course? It ascends upward on the front of the forearm in between the basilic and cephalic veins. And what is the termination? It opens in the median cubital vein and sometimes it may terminate in the basilic or cephalic veins. See here the perforator vein. This is skin, below the skin in the superficial fossa lies the superficial vein, median cubital vein. It is connected through this perforating vein with the deep vein. So these are the deep veins. Deep veins are the veni comitantis of this brachial artery. Okay, and this is tendon of biceps brachii. From its this extension is the bicipital aponeurosis and you can see the perforating vein is piercing through the bicipital aponeurosis and also you can see one valve. These are the valves present in the perforating vein and valves are guiding the blood from superficial to deep vein and prevents the regurgitation of blood from deep to superficial. And this is brachialis muscle which is lying deep to these structures. Okay, understood? So the schematic diagram like this you practice. Okay, next. আগেরটায় যাও. Okay, there are many variations in the pattern of the superficial veins of the forearm. Okay, location is not same in all the individuals. There is many variation. Veins have variation in all the regions of the body. Okay, so and some median vein or sometimes the median vein of forearm which was lying anterior aspect of the forearm, it bifurcates to form lateral median cephalic vein and medial median basilic vein. And in this situation, median cubital vein is absent. Okay, next. Next, we are going to clinical aspects of this venous system. First is venipuncture, very commonly done venipuncture. You have to learn venipuncture in your internship, how you have to draw blood. This is the process, okay? So superficial veins of the forearm are commonly used for the venipuncture. You have to put a channel for introduction of saline or introduction of with different drugs. You have to do all this in the superficial veins of the upper knee. So superficial veins of forearm are commonly used for the venipuncture, and venipuncture is the process of obtaining intravenous access for the purpose of obtaining blood sample or injecting drugs. Okay. So cephalic vein it is preferred vein for the hemodialysis. Hemodialysis is done in kidney patient. They cannot excrete the excess water or waste material. So hemodialysis is the process of removing excess water and waste products from the blood. And in hemodialysis, patient's blood is pumped through the dialyzer machine and that filters the blood with the help of semi-permeable membranes and dialysis fluid, and cleaned blood is sent back to the body. See here. Okay, and basilic vein is preferred for right cardiac catheterization. These clinical aspects are important. Comes in your explain why question theory. Okay, why in hemodialysis cephalic vein is used? Why in cardiac catheterization basilic vein is used? All these are important. Explain why questions. Okay. So, basilic vein is preferred for right cardiac catheterization as this vein has large diameter and easily accessible. Okay, you have to write down these points. In cardiac catheterization, a long rubber tube called catheter is inserted in the heart to check the heart disease and to know the functioning of the cardiac muscles and the different cardiac valves. Okay. And see here the process of drawing blood. Next job. See the arrow again. हाँ, बस. How will you do the venipuncture? First, you have to put a tourniquet. Tighten the tourniquet, rubber tourniquet, tied to stop venous blood flow and not the arterial flow. Okay, if you stop the venous flow, vein will be engorged. Okay, venous return is stopped. So then you ask the patient to form a fist. Okay, you have to form the fist. Then palpate the median cubital vein in the cubital fossa. Here, why it is chosen median cubital vein? Because it is lying over the bicipital aponeurosis. So during puncture of this vein, there is less chance of puncturing the deeper important structure like nerves, arteries, less chance of injuring those structures. Okay, and also it is a fixed vein because of presence of this perforating veins. It is a fixed vein. So it will not move during the puncture. So that's why it is chosen for venipuncture. This is also important. Explain why. Why median cubital vein is chosen for venipuncture. So ask the patient to form a fist, then palpate the median cubital vein in the cubital fossa, then sterilize the area with alcohol, insert the needle into the vein, collect the blood sample, ask the patient to release the fist. Release the fist first and then release the tourniquet, then place a gauge here over the venipuncture site and remove the needle slowly. Then apply mild pressure. You have to fold the elbow and apply pressure. Apply mild pressure to the gauge until the bleeding stops. Okay, so this is the process of venipuncture. You must learn during your internship. Okay, venipuncture. Okay, so here is the place of the tip of the needle in the median cubital vein. Okay, next. Next is this is hemodialysis process have been shown. See, this is the dialysis chamber. There is a semi-permeable membrane lying here. On this side, blood is coming and clean blood is coming out. Here, in the cephalic vein, a puncture is done here. Venous blood is pumped through a pump into this chamber, and from here, the clean blood is introduced into this puncture site. Okay, and on this side there is fresh dialysis fluid, it will pass through the other side of the chamber and it will take out all the waste material and the used dialysis fluid is collected in here. Okay, so this is the mechanism of dialysis and it is cephalic vein is used for hemodialysis. You have to explain my question. Next. Okay, so we have discussed the clinical aspects of the venous system. Important explain why questions come and individual veins can come as a short note. Okay, cephalic vein, basilic vein, median cubital vein. These three are important. Next, and dorsal venous arch also is important short note. Next, we are going to lymphatic drainage of the upper limb. Lymphatic system consists of the lymphatic vessels, lymphatic organs. These are the different lymphatic organs. Lymph nodes, thymus, spleen, tonsil and the bone marrow. And there are lymphatic cells. What is lymph? Lymph is the fluid that circulates through the lymphatic vessels. And lymph means water in Latin. How lymph is formed or how it is generated in human body, there is a closed circulatory system that carries the blood. So blood circulate through this. So first it is going from heart to the aorta, ascending aorta, arch of aorta, descending aorta, going to different parts of the body. From aorta to it is going to different arteries, then branches of arteries, arterioles and the capillaries. From the capillaries, blood is draining into the, at the capillaries are, they are going to the tissue level. Diffusion of different nutrients, different waste products will occur here. After that, the blood is collected into the venules. From venules, it is going to the veins, then different vena cava, superior, inferior vena cava is there, and then through the vena cava, they are going to the heart. Okay, so this is the circle of blood. Circulation is occurring like this. And from the heart, it will go to pulmonary circulation. There will be exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Then it will again return to the heart, and from the heart again pumped via the aorta to the body. So this is the circulatory cycle. So capillaries have arterial end and another is venous end. The nutrients given to the tissues or extracellular fluid through the arterial end of capillaries should enter back into the capillaries before the venous end. But some molecules fail to enter the vascular capillary fluid and remain in the extracellular fluid. And these molecules which fail to enter, they will enter the open-ended lymphatic capillaries by the capillary action, suction, by the suction. And these lymphatic capillaries join to form the lymphatic vessels and later the lymphatic ducts. Okay, right lymphatic duct, thoracic duct are present. Lymphatic ducts. Thoracic duct and right lymphatic duct drain the entire body and that finally enter in the venous blood. So lymph get filtered through various sets of lymph nodes on the way to the lymphatic ducts. And lymphatic vessels are small, hence they are difficult to visualize during dissection. Okay, lymphatic vessels you will not see during dissection because they are very thin walled, so they are removed, and also they are very fine channels, not like the blood channels, not like the arteries or the lymphatic drainage. The arrows are saying the direction of flow of lymph. From the lateral side, it is going along the cephalic vein, going drain into the deltopectoral node, from here into the supraclavicular node, and from here infraclavicular node, from infra to supraclavicular nodes. And from the medial side, it is going along the veins, entering into the supratrochlear lymph nodes lying over the trochlear process of the ulna, then going lymph nodes along the brachial artery, then going to the axillary group of nodes. Axillary lymph nodes are important question for your theory. Okay, so axillary group of nodes, and from here it is draining into the infraclavicular first, then into the ultimately into supraclavicular nodes. Okay, so this is the direction of lymphatic drainage from upper limb. Next, fruta, no? So lymphatics from the upper limb are carried by the superficial lymph vessels and deep lymph vessels. Superficial lymph vessels are numerous small vessels that collect the lymphatics from the skin and subcutaneous tissues, and they accompany the superficial veins and they drain into the axillary lymph nodes. Except the superficial lymphatics from the medial side of the lymph and medial three digits drain into the superficial cubital nodes. From lateral side of the thumb and lateral two digits into the supraclavicular lymph nodes, and these vessels follow the course of the cephalic vein. Okay. Next. Next, there is a vertical area of lymph shed. Lymph sheds mean there is watershed area. Watershed area means this line lymphatics does not cross. Okay, on the two sides there will be other. There is direction of drainage of lymph will be different. So there are vertical area of lymph shed in the middle of back of the arm and forearm. Back of the arm and forearm there is a watershed line, and the lymph vessels from these areas cross on the corresponding side, medial part on the medial side, and to reach and lateral part from the lateral side to reach on the front of the arm and the forearm. Then they are going to drain into the different lymph nodes, okay, ultimately into the supraclavicular nodes. Next is the deep lymph vessels. Deep lymph vessels are very numerous than the superficial lymph vessels, and they drain structures lying deep to the deep fossa, and they drain into the axillary nodes. Okay, next. I get time. Okay. So there are the following groups of lymph nodes in the upper limb. You have seen in the picture axillary nodes, infraclavicular nodes. Infraclavicular nodes, they lie on the clavipectoral fossa along the cephalic vein, and they drain the thumb and upper part of the breast. Deltopectoral nodes, they lie in the deltopectoral groove along the cephalic vein, and they drain upper part of the breast. Superficial cubital or supratrochlear nodes, they lie just above the medial epicondyle along the basilic vein, and they drain on the medial side of the hand and the forearm. And deep cubital nodes, they lie in the cubital fossa at the bifurcation of the brachial artery. Apart from these nodes, few nodes lie along the arteries of the arm and the forearm. Okay, so these are the different lymph nodes of the upper limb. Next. So next we are going to clinical aspects of the lymphatic system. First is lymphangitis. Lymphangitis is inflammation of the lymph vessels. Okay? And cause of this lymphangitis is injuries or infection of the limbs. So in case of infection of different areas, first they will infect the lymphatic system. Okay, lymph node will be enlarged, or there will be redness or inflammation along the lymphatics. Next is lymphedema. Lymphedema is obstruction of the lymph vessels and cause accumulation of the lymphatic fluid in the tissue, causing swelling of the area. Causes filariasis or removal of the lymph node, post-surgery complication due to damaged lymph vessels. Okay, these are the main causes of lymphedema. In the filariasis, you have seen elephant foot or other areas, other swellings occurs. So this is due to lymphedema. Okay, and because the filarial parasites, they are blocking the lymphatic channels and prevents the lymphatic drainage, and it will lead to accumulation of lymph and swelling. Okay. Next is lymphadenopathy. Lymphadenopathy is enlarged lymph nodes and causes different infection and cancer. Cancerous condition will lead to lymphadenopathy. Okay, like in different leukemias, chronic myeloid leukemia and other leukemia, there will be enlargement of different groups of lymph nodes. Okay, next. Okay, that's all. So, any queries from this topic? So venous drainage, you have to prepare multiple short notes, and clinical aspects are important for your explain why. Okay. So all those you prepare, and all these structures, the veins are important for your OSPE also, practical. Cephalic vein, basilic vein, median cubital vein, dorsal venous arch, all these are given in your OSPE question.